Welcome back to Jacksonville. Matt Ryan enjoying the flyover as we get ready for football on a hot, humid 85-degree evening, mostly cloudy. That's the forecast. 85 degrees, which means Tony Siragusa is already sweating down on the field. How's it down there, Goose?
Well, it's good right now, but that black cloud isn't coming, Kenny. Let me tell you that. And let me just tell you something. Offense, offense, offense. That's all I hear from those guys up in the box. Jimmy and Darryl, calm down. We know about Julio Jones and Tony Gonzalez and Matt Ryan. But when you talk about the Atlanta Falcons, you got to talk about that defense. They got continuity. These guys are a lot of no-names over there. They did a great job in free agency of going out and getting a guy like Ray Edwards to come in to help them solidify that pass rush, that they can bring some heat with those front four. I think he's the key to this team this year. This defense and this whole team is only going to go as far as this defense takes it. Today, let's see what this Atlanta Falcons defense can do.
All right, thanks, Goose. There is Falcons head coach Mike Smith. Atlanta 13-3. A season ago, top seed of the NFC, lost to the Green Bay Packers in their first playoff game. Jack Del Rio on the other side. Del Rio and Smith worked together, Jimmy, for 8 years. First in Baltimore, then here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and the thing about it, here in Jacksonville, they had some outstanding defensive teams. So, both of these teams play great defense.
The Jaguars have won the toss. Matt Bosher kicking off from the 35-yard line. Deji Kareem takes a knee 9 yards deep in the end zone. So 10-year veteran David Garrard leading the Jaguars offense out. 76 career starts for Garrard during the regular season. Last year a franchise record 23 touchdown passes.
Coming off that back injury, what Jack Del Rio thought earlier in preseason was just some muscle issues, ended up being a disc issue. So this will be interesting to see how he plays throughout the course of the season if that back flares up on David.
Garrard did not play last week in the Jaguars preseason opener against the New England Patriots. Garrard throws on first down and the catch is made for a gain of 9 by the ex-49er Jason Hill as we meet the Jacksonville offense.
Well, Kenny, as you said, Deji Kareem was back for the kickoff. He's also going to be the starting running back. Maurice Jones-Drew, Rashad Jennings out of the lineup, but he does get Mercedes Lewis back, and really enjoyed having the opportunity to sit down and talk with him. And keep your eyes on Will Rackley, the right guard, number 65 from Lehigh University. We went to their scrimmage Wednesday night. He was outstanding.
Garrard airing it out on 2nd and 1. Pass intended for Mike Thomas. Brent Grimes on the coverage.
When you look at this wide receiver group, nobody really jumps out at you, but Mike Thomas is one of the people in that group that Jack Del Rio is very happy about. And Brent Grimes is playing that about as well as you can. He stays in a position where Mike Thomas can't get on top of him, puts himself in a great spot to be able to make a play on the ball.
I'm sure Jack, probably talked about this before the game. We're going to take it deep, try to loosen him up a little bit.
And on 3rd and 1, Garrard on the keeper. Terry McCauley signals first down. So the Jaguars move the chains as we check out the Falcons defensive unit.
Well, here's that group that Tony was talking about. If Atlanta's going to have success this year, Tony feels this group is going to carry. Now, Corey Bierman is in the lineup tonight. Ray Edwards is not there. He's their big free agent signing to solidify that pass rush. But really, to me, what this group has to do, they have to take advantages of those opportunities. They put themselves in positions by scheme or by individual effort to get a sack, but a lot of times they're not getting that quarterback to the ground.
Garrard on first down, handing it off to Kareem, and he is hit for a loss of 5 by free safety Thomas Deku.
No Maurice Jones-Drew in there, and he was such a big part of their offense really for the last few years. They've got to find some depth behind him because he's not going to stay healthy all year. That's what happened last year when they went down to Indianapolis.
And the scary part about tonight is with Rashad Jennings, who when he does come in from Maurice Jones-Drew is a good backup, but he suffered a concussion during training camp. He's out. There's Maurice Jones-Drew on the sideline right there.
Coming off his second trip to the Pro Bowl. Garrard on 2nd and 14. Curtis Lofton over to make the tackle as the catch was made by the Pro Bowl tight end Mercedes Lewis.
I tell you, you get an opportunity to sit down and talk to people around the NFL during the course of the season. This is the first time that I've had a chance to talk to Mercedes Lewis and was so impressed with him. And here's a guy who's probably considered one of the best tight ends in the league, and he's going through a contract thing, but he comes right out and tells the Jacksonville organization, listen, I don't need to be the highest paid player at my position. I want to be treated fairly. I want to earn the money. I just want to be a part of this team.
Meanwhile, he tells his agent, get as much as I can.
You know what I like about Mercedes Moose was him in the meeting, nice pass over the middle, talking about how he wants to be a better blocker. Didn't really care about the catches, want to be a better blocker. I'll tell you what, you don't hear that from very many tight ends.
Mike Thomas gains 24, another Jaguars first down.
Mike Thomas coming from in the slot. Just a little move right there at the top, that little stick and go allows him to get away from Dominique Franks, create that separation. Nice tight spiral by David Garrard.
You know, you talk about that defensive line for the Falcons also. You know, they get pressure, but they never seem to get there, Darryl. You know, they're not getting the sack. They got to get on Garrard.
From the 44-yard line, play action. Garrard going deep, too deep, and it is picked off by Brent Grimes. Pass intended for Mike Thomas, and Grimes, who went to the Pro Bowl last year, still on his feet. Grimes across midfield. He took it out of the end zone all the way to the Jaguars' 41-yard line.
I think he ran out of gas.
He needs some oxygen. 62 yards on the return out of the end zone, Brent Grimes. Jaguars turn the ball over on their opening drive. A look at Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan. Jimmy, 33 wins over his first 3 seasons, matching your former quarterback Dan Marino. Most wins by a quarterback his first 3 years.
And now he's in his 4th year. That 4th year is when Troy Aikman won the Super Bowl, so maybe that's an omen.
Ryan over the top to Michael Turner. Paul Posluszny made the tackle.
All right, Tony, I talked about all the skill positions, so I'm going to let these guys go here so it's not a whole offensive thing that makes you so upset.
Well, you have to mention all of them. I mean,
we'll focus
who
on the offensive line. Well, we already talked about all those guys. Now, here's the group. Even Matt Ryan said, Justin Blaylock, Tyson Clabo, they had 3 guys up for free agency. They got 2 of them. They lost Harvey Dahl, but he thinks that getting those 2 signed was the most important thing that they did all offseason.
Harvey Dahl now in St. Louis, 2nd down and 7. Michael Turner picks up a first down to the 30-yard line, gain of 9.
One of the things Jaguar fans wanted to know is, hey, you know, our pass defense is 31st in the league. How come we didn't look at that? They got Matt Roth in during the course of training camp to help them up front. But again, this is a group that they feel has the talent there. They brought in Paul Posluszny. They brought in Clint Session, but they're secondary. They feel the guys are there. They just have to stay healthy, like Jimmy's been saying, and play up to their potential.
Our first penalty flag.
False start, offense number 84. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Roddy White.
I know you're excited to see wide receivers jump off sides on running plays, right, Coach?
I'd be putting another wide receiver in there.
Even for the guy who led the league in receptions last year?
It's preseason. You got to make a
message, yeah.
He won't be in for long. First down and 15 from the 35. Ryan steps up, hits Jason Snelling out of the backfield, and once again it's Posluszny along with Darryl Smith on the tackle. Jimmy, you mentioned Matt Ryan now in his 4th season. You drafted Troy Aikman first overall back in '89. In his 4th year, you win a Super Bowl.
Well, there was never any doubt that Troy was going to be a great player. The only thing I had to do is get the right supporting cast. Once we got the great players around him, Troy was able to show just what kind of skills he had. And that's exactly what they've done with Matt Ryan. Julio Jones coming in.
You mean like unbelievable fullbacks and guys like that, right, Coach?
Thanks, Goose.
There you go.
A great defense, Goose.
There you go.
On 2nd and 11, here's Snelling. Stelling found a hole, takes it down to the 22-yard line. And everybody knows Troy was your first-round pick in '89, but how about the fullback out of Syracuse in round 2?
We ended up, DJ was our second-round pick. We actually moved down in the second round to take him. And then we ended up having Tony Tolbert, was the third-round pick, and Stebnowski. You know, so we had 4 academic All-Americans there in our first 4 picks. Pretty smart guys.
So you moved down to select down.
Right.
Bargain basement.
Third down and 1 for Matt Ryan on the Falcons. Ryan rolling right. Did not find anyone. Throws it out of bounds.
You know what, for a 4th-year player, you look at Matt Ryan and you say, well, he just threw it away, no big deal. But this is a smart play. He rolls out, he has nothing downfield, don't make a mistake. Let's go, just get it out there, let's go to the next play. That's a smart play, let's punt the ball, no big deal.
The points are at such a premium in the NFL. There's so many games that are decided by one possession. You just can't give points away.
The veteran Matt Bryant from the left hash, 40-yard attempt. Bryant's kick is good. So the Falcons capitalize following the Jaguars turnover. 3-0 Atlanta. Falcons lead 3-0 on a Friday night in Jacksonville. There he is, the second-round pick by the Dallas Cowboys back in 1989, and his head coach, Aikman to Johnston for a Cowboys touchdown and a brace. You guys haven't hugged yet today.
Oh, boy, and my hair's a lot darker there, too, DJ.
Yeah, mine was grayer. That was almost been an old picture.
They really had a search for Moose getting the catch, I'll tell you that. You know how hard that was. Now, how many catches did you have?
I had a lot of catches. It was the carries. The carries are hard to find.
Yeah. Love the bull neck, though.
He was always a check down goose.
Yeah. Like Marshall Faulk.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Here's Deji Kareem on the return. Took it out of the end zone. He's across the 35-yard line. Big return by Kareem. Dominique Franks made the tackle. He had a decision. Do I take it in or take it out? He took it 40 yards. Good starting field position for the Jaguars after Deji Kareem decided to take that kickoff out of the end zone. Jimmy, of course, the new kickoff rule this season. Kicks from the 35-yard line. It has led to more touchbacks over the first week plus of preseason than the regular season last year.
Kenny, the biggest concern that I would have is with my coverage unit, with so many kickoffs going into the end zone, you know, I wouldn't want them to be complacent and start covering 75% speed because they think it's going to be not returned. And so the thing I would do as a coach, I would mix it up. Sometimes I would hang it up into the corner. Sometimes I would try to kick it out. And then I would probably have more onside kicks than normal, just surprise onside kicks. But you've got to keep your coverage unit going full speed. They can't assume that it's going to be in the end zone.
40-yard return by Kareem. Now the play fake to Deji Kareem. The wide, a pump fake. And he steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line after picking up 6.
One of those things when you talk about playing better pass defense is for the linebackers to recognize the play that's coming. And that's one of those traditional routes when the quarterback boots out. You know they're going to have guys tiered. You're going to have that tight end coming across the field. And Sean Weatherspoon, number 56, did a great job as he moved across the field, looked back to pick him up because Mercedes Lewis was coming open until Sean Weatherspoon saw him.
Now second down and 4. The toss to Kareem. And he has the Jaguars first down out to the 49.
Both of these teams run the ball extremely well, and that's one reason, and Goose can relate to this, that's one reason they play pretty good defense, run defense in particular, but Atlanta good overall defense. And that's what happened in Baltimore when Goose was playing. Their defense really wasn't that good, but they ran the ball so well.
The number 3 rushing team in the NFL.
That's right. That's why he was able to make a tackle.
They were hardly on the field, Coach. They were hardly on the field.
Did you make a tackle?
I'm coming up in that booth. You guys keep it up. Let me tell you that right now.
There's no room. We got Mike Pereira to our left. Cast of thousands. The end around, but it does not work as Cecil Shorts loses the football on his first touch. He did not play in last week's game, the rookie out of Mount Union. And now the officials trying to find the bottom of the pile.
throw-in play. That's one that they're going to say, well, let's look at it in preseason and see if it works. If it does, we might use it sometime during the regular season.
Well, that's a rookie mistake, in my opinion. You get a guy like Cecil Shorts, he should have fell on that ball. Once that ball's on the ground, take a look at it. The ball's on the ground. He tries to scoop it up. Get down on that ball.
Shorts doesn't make a good pocket for him either.
No. Right here, he should have fell on that ball, kept possession. This isn't college anymore. Everybody has that speed there.
So the Jaguars turn the ball over for the second time in 2 possessions. First and 10 for the Falcons from the Jacksonville 39 as Turner wants to change direction. But he is tackled back at the 43-yard line by Kyle Bosworth. If the name sounds familiar, he is the nephew of the Bos, Brian Bosworth.
Really? What kind of haircut does he have?
We'll have to take off his helmet.
Does he have a Z on the side of his head?
So Bosworth brings down Turner, loss of 4. Empty backfield, second down and 14. Ryan, quick release, Harry Douglas. Down to the 31-yard line. Derek Cox brought him down.
Interesting that everybody else from the outside looking at Atlanta wants to talk about Julio Jones, but when you get inside and you talk to the staff and the players, Harry Douglas is one of the guys that they want to talk about. Said he's had a great camp. Good to have him back and healthy.
One of the really the things about Matt Ryan is he's got such poise. You know, talking to Terry Bradshaw, he said the 2 things: a quarterback with poise and a decision maker, and Matt Ryan's got both of them.
Ryan on 3rd and 2, spins, hit as he throws. Off the pressure from Jeremy Mincy.
Nice decision to get rid of the ball there, DJ.
Yeah, but they're going to throw a late flag on him, coach, and get him intentional grounding.
Intentional grounding, offense number 2. Ball replaced at the spot of the foul. Loss of down, 4th down.
I thought he was outside the tackle box there, Moose.
Yeah, but when he gets outside the tackle box, Tony, he's got to get it beyond the line of scrimmage. As he bails out.
He's out now.
Yeah, just on the edge.
The ball doesn't go past.
But very interesting, Tony. Atlanta can run the football very well. That's their 2nd, 3rd, and short, inside 2.5 yards. And they've elected to throw the ball and have had to kick a field goal on the previous drive, and on that one, take the penalty and now forced to punt.
Matt Bosher, the rookie out of Miami, 6th-round pick. Punting for the first time tonight. Scotty McGee spent last year on IR back deep, but he will watch it sail through the end zone. So the Jaguars will start from their own 20. They've already turned the ball over twice. 3-0 Falcons here in Jacksonville. Well, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Cardinals look to gain ground in the NL Central. They take on the Cubs. The division-leading Brewers will battle the Mets in New York. Some of you will see the Reds and the Pirates. This week's telecast of Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Gillette Fusion Pro Glide, begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific tomorrow. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. David Garrard and the Jaguars throw offensive series. 1st and 10 from their own 20 as Kareem is swallowed up by Jonathan Babineau.
Nice job of those linebackers filling. As soon as they started the action of quarterback, the linebackers attacked to the line of scrimmage. They hit the fullback in the backfield, and there was no place to run.
You force that running back to make that decision quicker than he wants to. And Curtis, we talked to Curtis Lofton, the middle linebacker for Atlanta, and the thing I like about Atlanta is when you talk to them about what they have to do, they always point to themselves as individuals or their group.
Garrard on 2nd and 10, looking for Jason Hill.
Well, they look good tonight, Goose. This defense that you talked about at the top, whether it's run or pass, they've been impressive, and this is without Ray Edwards in there.
Yeah, you're right, Darryl. The one thing that I'm looking at when I look at that defensive line, though, is the pressure they're getting when they have 4 down linemen. They need to go and make that adjustment. They need to get a guy like Ray Edwards in there. I know he's not in there tonight, but they're missing that element. They missed it last year. When they have 4 down linemen, you can get pressure. I mean, it makes it so much easier for that defensive coordinator to call those blitzes and drop guys out. That's where they come right now.
Edwards making his return from knee surgery as the catch is made by Cecil Shorts, who turned the ball over moments ago. 16-yard pass play and a Jaguars first down.
When you get that, when you get that pressure with the front 4, you don't have to bring all these guys. Right now, it looks like they brought about 8 guys, and now you put your defensive backs on an island, and you're going to find somebody open, just like we saw right there.
Yeah, but one of the thoughts, Tony, if you bring everybody, you're going to force that offense to break off hot, and usually that's short on a 3rd and long. But, Jacksonville did a great job there of picking everybody up and allowing David Garrard the time to get that ball downfield far enough to get the first down.
First and 10 from the 36-yard line. This is Kareem, and he's tackled by Curtis Lofton, who led the Falcons in tackles last season. And Jimmy, you mentioned Jaguars without Maurice Jones-Drew, coming back from arthroscopic knee surgery back in January. We spoke to him the other day, said he feels great, can't wait for the regular season. And Rashad Jennings, his backup, out as well due to a head injury.
Yeah, and I think Jack Del Rio's playing it smart here by holding him out of this ball game. He'll get plenty of action. He's a veteran. He'll be able to jump right in without missing a beat.
Second down and 11. Inside handoff to the fullback, Montel Owens, and he takes it out to the 45-yard line, close to a Jaguars first down.
And Kenny, the other thing is, they've got to find some backups to Maurice Jones-Drew. So all these young players, they got to find out who's going to back him up.
You always got the option to put a fullback right there.
Oh, no. We tried that.
Now, is he kind of the last guy from that breed where you talk about a franchise running back, one of the guys who's going to be out there every snap for you? We've seen a switch to kind of running back by committee.
Oh, yeah, it just depends on the head coach. Some head coaches want just one guy, and then some head coaches say, hey, I'm going to rotate 2 or 3.
That's John Abraham, a Pro Bowler, 13 sacks last year for the Falcons, shaken up on the last play.
They always get shook up in preseason.
Third down and 2, the toss to Owens, and he picks up the first down. I want to ask you about preseason, Jimmy. This year, following the lockout, coaches and players were not able to work together throughout the offseason. They come in a bit late to training camp. How have you seen things over the first couple of weeks since camp started and into week 2 of the preseason? What's looked different to you?
I think some of these teams have got to be concerned. The ones that are bringing in new players, they're trying to integrate them into their team. They're going to have to play these starters longer. They're going to have to play these starters maybe in the 4th game. They didn't normally do that in previous years. If you've got a veteran team, I think you can still rest them. But I think most of these teams with new players, they're going to have to play their starters longer in preseason.
Garrard taken down back at the 40-yard line, and the ball came loose. And another injured Falcon, Beret Jerry, their first-round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he's been hurt throughout his career, but here's an example that we talked about at the top. They get opportunities for sacks. You've got 2 players there that have them right in their sights, and they don't finish the play. And that's actually how Beret Jerry got hurt, was the collision with his own teammate going for the sack.
Jerry colliding with Trey Lewis. So the Falcons have lost both John Abraham and Beret Jerry on this drive. Now second and 11. Garrard dumps it off to Kareem. And Deji Kareem has a first down and more. Finally forced out of bounds after a gain of 26.
Jacksonville may be finding their backup running back.
He's been impressive. And he's number 3, coach. But here's Corey Bierman. He's one of your big pass rushers. Great opportunity to call a screen right into that area. And then some great blocking downfield by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike Thomas all the way downfield. If Deji Kareem could have gotten through this level right here, there's Mike Thomas driving his guy right off the field.
Final minute, first quarter. Jaguars on the move. They committed turnovers on each of their first 2 possessions. From the 28 on first down, this is Shorts. And Cecil Shorts has his second catch today and another Jaguars first down.
It's a pretty impressive drive here for Jacksonville after coming out the first 2 series and not really executing very well at all.
That Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line is doing a great job of giving David Garrard a lot of time in that pocket to find those receivers downfield.
Jaguars started at their own 20. They've already driven 65 yards as the first quarter comes to an end. Teams will change sides. Falcons lead by 3. We start the second quarter here in Jacksonville. Kenny Albert, Darryl Johnston, Tony Siragusa, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Strahan, Mike Pereira, Kurt Menefee all on hand.
Oh, the crew.
Matt Ryan of the Falcons lead 3-0. Good news for Atlanta. John Abraham back on the field. Tenth play of the drive for the Jaguars. From the Falcons 15. Garrard throws. That pass intended for Mercedes Lewis. Sean Weatherspoon in the way.
Did a great job of recognizing that route, undercutting it. With Sean Weatherspoon, number 56, get beat off the release, rides him, reads the eyes, and then it's an opportunity to undercut that. Almost got an interception inside the 5.
Yeah, nice job, nice release by Lewis right there. And, really could have let him a little bit more. Could have been a completion, could have been a touchdown.
He scored 10 last year, which led all NFL tight ends. 2nd and 10 from the Atlanta 15. The wide to the near side. Mike Thomas out of bounds inside the 9. Thomas led the Jaguars with 66 receptions last season.
They don't have that true number 1 wide receiver in this offense, and I think Jacksonville Jaguars fans, they'll go back. I think the last time probably when they had Jimmy Smith down here, we really had that true number 1, but it's a solid group top to bottom.
Yeah, their whole game is run the football, throw the screens to Maurice Jones-Drew, and throw the ball to Mercedes Lewis. That's their game.
Third down and 3. Garrard overthrows Lewis.
And that's not easy to do.
It's going to be interesting to see how the young rookie, the Gabbard, does, because I know Garrard has been a little bit iffy here the last couple of years with the fans, and he's got to be feeling a little bit of pressure bringing a high-priced rookie in.
Especially carrying that back injury into the beginning of the season. It's going to be important for him to come out and play well, especially when he gets opportunities with this first group.
He's got to hit that pass.
Absolutely.
Anybody, he's got to hit it.
Blake Gabbert will get his shot later in this game as Josh Scobie connects from 26 yards out. Back in Jacksonville, early second quarter, Falcons and Jaguars tied at 3. Kenny Albert, Jimmy Johnson, Darryl Moose Johnston. Jimmy, you were reminding us the last time you were up at a broadcast booth, 1994, year 1 at Fox. You did a game with Terry Bradshaw in San Diego, no play-by-play announcer.
Yeah, President of Fox Sports, David Hill, had the bright idea to put Terry and I in the booth with no play-by-play. He said, just act like you're a football fan, sit on the couch and watch the game. It was an absolute disaster. One time there was a kickoff all the way for a touchdown, and it was dead silence the entire way. About the time he hit the 10-yard line, I said, wow. And that was the only thing said. It was absolutely horrible. You ever try to go in and out of a break, and never done it before?
But that's what a guy on the couch would say, though, right? If you sit on the couch, you just go, wow, that was unbelievable.
Never any silence amongst this group. When we come back,
wow.
give Jimmy a shot to do some play-by-play.
Yeah, right.
How about it?
Yeah, you'll get a wow from me.
Wow! As part of the NFL's Back to Football program, all 32 teams will thank their fans for their continued support with a special fan appreciation program during preseason. Each club selecting 90 fans to receive an autographed jersey from Coach coaches, players, and team owners during one of its preseason games.
Nice dance right there.
You teach him that, Goose?
Looks familiar.
I got one thing to say. Wow. That was a good dance. You're right, Coach.
That would be the shortest sentence we've ever heard.
That's all I'm saying anymore.
First and 10 from the 20-yard line for the Falcons. As Ryan hits Turner, but there is a flag back at the 17-yard line.
Half of them didn't know what the play was. They tried to audible on the thing. They were moving around, so there's probably going to be some motion on it.
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 men moving prior to the snap, did not reset. 5-yard penalty. First down.
A coach's eye never goes away. There's some confusion right there, like Coach talked about. Julio Jones and Harry Douglas trying to get it sorted out. The ball snap. And that's going to be one of the challenges for the young guys, is trying to digest all this terminology in these playbooks. You're going to have some issues when you get to the line of scrimmage of knowing what to do.
Now on 1st and 15, here's Turner. And he's bottled up.
That's one of those little plays that gets lost during the course of the game. You have that big gain coming off, the backside of your field, the 20-yard line. Harry Douglas gives you great field position, and you have a pre-snap penalty that brings it back, and you're 1st and 15 at your own 15.
And that's why you got to play those young players more this preseason than what you normally would have. They've got to get ready for the regular season. You can't set them that 4th game.
Falcons go to the no huddle, 2nd down and 14. Empty backfield. Ryan to the outside, looking for the 1st-round pick out of Alabama, Julio Jones.
Well, this is one of the things that he's supposed to be able to do, is create great matchups in one-on-one, working against Derek Cox on the outside. Derek Cox, great position. Ball thrown to the outside, trying to get a little back shoulder there. And again, that's some timing that Julio Jones and Matt Ryan will develop. If he's running stride for stride with you, I'm going to throw it on your back shoulder.
Ryan on 3rd down and 14. Again forced to throw it out of bounds after the pressure from Jeremy Mincy.
Jaguars defense doing a great job of bringing the pressure on Matt Ryan, not letting him just sit there in the pocket. You see him here in shotgun. He's got max protection, but just getting your hands up. Jeremy Mincy does a great job. Every little bit, getting your hands up, getting in front of the quarterback, disrupts him a little bit, and will disrupt that throw downfield just like we saw.
This here's Bosher, punting from his own 5-yard line to McGee. Really not what McGee had in mind.
They had a little wall set up there. If he could have gotten to the wall, he had him a big return.
When we come back, our first look at the rookie quarterback, Blaine Gabbert. Jaguars and Falcons tied at 3. 85 degrees at game time. Blaine Gabbert, the 10th overall pick in the 1st round out of Missouri, started last week's game in New England, played the entire 1st half. Garage sat out due to the back injury. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. And Gabbert's first pass is short, intended for Mike Thomas.
We had an opportunity to watch these guys scrimmage on Wednesday night, and I was really impressed with Blaine Gabbert. And Coach mentioned, you know, the poise and the decision-making is what the qualities are that coaches are looking for in a quarterback. And I was very impressed with Blaine. You know, he made good decisions. His ball placement was outstanding. When guys were covered, he could get that ball into an area where only his receiver was going to have an opportunity to make the catch. He did not allow the defense to make a play on the ball.
The other thing, Garrard's been having some injuries the last couple of years. They're starting to mount up. So, you know, now's a good time for Gabbert to show something.
On the slant, Gabbert finds his man at midfield. It's Richard Murphy, the rookie out of LSU.
You know, one thing, I'm sorry, Kenny, one thing that really stuck out in my mind from seeing that scrimmage, Darrell, was Gabbert, the strength of his arm. Now, he was throwing passes 40 yards down the field, and they were like frozen ropes. I mean, this kid's got one strong arm.
Yeah, and I think there's a misnomer, and we talked to him about it. You know, coming out of a college spread offense, you think about an undersized guy doesn't have that prototypical size that NFL scouts are looking for, but Blaine Gabbert has it, and he does have that huge arm, Goose. How about that for touch?
That was nice.
Murphy, the intended receiver, Chris Owens on the coverage.
He saw the defenders with their backs to him, and so it was a good throw there. Even though it was tight coverage, they had their backs to the quarterback.
But I think Darrell pointed out a great point. The touch right there that Blaine had. You know, I played with a couple of quarterbacks. I don't want to mention anybody's names in Indianapolis, and he had a rifle of an arm, but zero touch. And he just couldn't get anything done. Couldn't get the ball down the field, couldn't throw it, you know, let the receivers go and get it, and wouldn't last very long.
Thanks for narrowing it down to Matt Turk. Beautiful punt. 43 years of age. He's the oldest player in the NFL. Yeah. He's the last NFL player born in the 60s. What's going on here?
You don't have to be young to be a punter.
Back in Jacksonville, Jaguars and Falcons tied at 3. Friday night preseason action. Jaguars lost to the Patriots 42-17 last Thursday. Falcons lost at home to Miami 28-23. Falcons starting from their own 5-yard line. Turner wrapped up. Well, Wednesday, September 21st, it's time to face the music. Simon Cowell is back with Paula Abdul, Nicole Scherzinger, and L.A. Reid, and they are searching for singers with the X Factor. Don't miss television's next big event, the X Factor series, premiering Wednesday, September 21st on Fox.
Well, put Michael Strahan on that. You know, Michael can sing pretty well. Put him on the X Factor.
He's the X Factor of the preseason crew?
We'll have to give him a shot in the second half.
He can sing the second half.
And of course, Jimmy, you know a thing or two about reality series.
I got voted off.
Second down and 9. That pass sails away from Roddy White.
You could tell what Jacksonville wanted to focus on during the course of the offseason. Defense was their biggest concern. They brought Matt Roth in to help that defensive line out. The big thing was that linebacker level with Paul Posluszny and Clint Session. And then Dewan Landry and Drew Coleman brought in to beef up that secondary. So they focused on the pass defense in particular. A lot of people question the linebacker signings, but you talk to the guys and what they struggled with. A lot of that is that tier in front of the safeties, that linebacker level. They feel that Clint and Paul can help solve those problems.
Ryan on 3rd and 9, so the Jaguars defense unable to get off the field here as Roddy White makes the catch for a Falcons first down.
Matt Ryan's pass is complete to number 84, Roddy White.
And Jack Del Rio and his staff very excited about those 5 additions after the Jaguars finished 28th in defense last year.
Yeah, a lot of it, you know, with the pass defense, but those linebackers are a big key there.
They really are, and that's one of those spots right there that gets opened up. Roddy White did a great job finding that little soft spot in that zone.
3 wide receivers set. Douglas in the slot, 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line as Turner finds his way out to the 23.
Matt Ryan is just so in command of this offense. You watch him, he is so poised, so cool. He calls his audibles, he puts them in the right play, he makes the right throws, he throws it away when he needs to throw it away, he makes the right decisions. He's come a long way, since his rookie year a few years ago.
Yeah, he told us he's got the most on his plate this season that he's ever had, and it's kind of like an earned progression that offensive coordinator Mike Mularkey has given him. And everybody on the team that you talk to will say the same thing. When we first met him, he got the intangibles. He's a great leader. He's got all the skills you need, but this year there's just something different. That experience that he's gained through the first 3 seasons.
Here's Turner on 2nd and 7. The Falcons franchise, Jimmy, never put together back-to-back winning seasons, despite going to the Super Bowl back in '98. Until the arrival of head coach Mike Smith and Matt Ryan, they've now had 3 consecutive seasons above 500.
And a lot of it because the general manager, Tom Dimitroff, coming from New England, he came in and brought in the right coach. He brought in the right players, made the right decisions. He's made all the right moves since he's been here. That's one reason why they're such a winning football team.
They're down at 5. Ryan complete. Harry Douglas. First down and more. Douglas inside the 25, and he will take it all the way for a Falcons touchdown. 76 yards.
Wow.
Well, now you can see why the Falcon players and coaches are so excited about Harry Douglas. We keep focusing on Roddy White and Julio Jones, but here's another element that you have to guard against. Coming from that inside slot, great separation right there as he pulls away from Drew Coleman, and there's Julio Jones downfield making sure he gets in the end zone. Now, this is a team that wanted to get that explosive play, 76 yards. They only had 9 plays over 40 yards last year offensively, Coach.
And this is some of the same problems that Jacksonville had last year. But it's going to take time for these young players to go ahead and get into the system. And it's just, the 2nd preseason game. So they will be better with more work.
Bryant, the extra point, a 95-yard drive. Falcons lead 10-3.
I had a chance to talk to Matt Ryan before the game, and he had some really cool goals that he wanted to accomplish in today's game. And what do you want to get accomplished out of this game? What's the main
the
goal?
key tonight for us is to tighten things up from what we did last week. We scored 2 out of 3 drives in our first game.
Right.
With that said, I think we had like 15 or 20 mental errors on our first 2 drives. So just clean things up, try and protect a little bit better, and that starts with me pointing in the right spots and getting the ball out when it needs to. So if we can do that, that's kind of the focus for tonight.
Well, it looks like he's getting some of those mental errors from last week and cobwebs out. And so far, guys, I think he's getting into a rhythm now. He has all those weapons out there. So many things to choose from, it's hard to go and decide who to go to.
I mean, look at the reaction he has on the sideline. Does that look like a guy who just threw a 76-yard touchdown pass? He's like, all right, what can we do next? How can I correct this? He's always working, always trying to find that edge, get that advantage.
There's the 11-time Pro Bowl tight end, Tony Gonzalez. A 6-play, 95-yard drive, 76-yard touchdown pass from Ryan to Harry Douglas. Scotty McGee really have an opportunity to bring it out.
Bringing it out. Bang.
From the 2. And stopped 2 yards shy of the 20 by Kerry Meyer. Second series for rookie quarterback Blaine Gabbert.
Out of the University of Missouri, and again, that spread offense gives him the opportunity to showcase his arm. But I think the one thing that surprises a lot of people is his mobility. And he's a big, tough guy, but he's got great escapability. He's strong, breaks tackles in the pocket. We saw that little wiggle that he has too, that when you see the veteran quarterbacks, doesn't really move from his spot, but just be able to turn his shoulders and avoid a sack. Saw him do that a couple times Wednesday night during that scrimmage.
And Darryl, you look at Jacksonville over the years, they have run the ball well, they've played some good defense at times. The thing that they've had is inconsistency at the quarterback position. So there's a reason for Jacksonville to be excited.
Pass was deflected, and intended for Cecil Shorts. Dominic Franks got a piece of it. And Darryl, so many players and coaches that we spoke to on the Atlanta side all mentioned the improvement Franks from last year to this season.
Very impressed with what he has done, and a lot of it just his mentality, his preparation. Came in very focused. Yeah, he's going to be a key element. The nickel defender in the NFL today is virtually a starter. There's a lot of defenses where he's getting over half the snaps during the course of the game. So, one of the guys who's fighting for that spot right now is Dominique Franks, and he's going up against that with Chris Owens.
Second and 10. Stephen Nicholas, who grew up here in the Jacksonville area. Nice tackle on the second-year fullback, Brock Bolin.
Number 54, Stephen Nicholas.
Gabbard's going to have a chance to show something now, 3rd down and 10. You see what kind of poise he has in the pocket, throwing it down the field.
There you go. They're going spread, coach. Defensive linemen know what it's going to be, and they're coming.
4 wide receivers set, Goose. 3rd down and 10 for Gabbard and the Jaguars. Gabbard steps up and throws, and the catch is made by Jared Dillard, who set all kinds of records at Rice University, Darryl, but has been injury plagued over his first 2 NFL seasons.
Yeah, just a great college career, but hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he has so far during camp. And here's Blaine Gabbert, tight coverage, good throw into the middle of the field. A great job of protection by the running back in that situation. Now, the blitz came right up the middle, and there's a little bit of trust, a little bit of faith by a young quarterback in the players around him. Knowing that that's going to be picked up, he can stand there in that pocket and deliver that ball.
Yeah, he wasn't nervous at all with that pocket collapsing around him. Stood right in there.
So a new set of downs for the Jaguars. Richard Murphy found a hole and gained 6 out to the 35. Franks with the tackle.
Number 24, Dominic Franks, and number 56, Sean Huddersfield.
Jimmy, what are some of the keys for a coaching staff as far as bringing along a young quarterback like Gabbert?
Well, the main thing, you've got to put him in the right kind of situation to truly evaluate him. If you put him in there with a bunch of new players and a bunch of rookies and free agents that really don't know what they're doing, it's going to be hard to evaluate him. So put him in there with the veterans. Put him in there with a good offensive line. Give him an opportunity to have success. That's the main thing, and that's the way you can evaluate him. And as time goes on, these next couple ball games, give him more action. You know what Garrard's going to do. And so there's no need for Garrard to go ahead and play all these games. You let Gabbard get some experience with these players.
I think he really took advantage of his opportunity last week with David Garrard out of the lineup against the New England Patriots. And the one thing he said to us was, we moved the ball well. We did some good things, but, we didn't play well in the red zone. So there was things that he wanted to work on tonight, finishing drives, getting touchdowns. But all in all, last week, I thought he was very impressed for his first time out against a starting group like New England's defense.
3rd down and 3. Gabbert in trouble. Down he goes back at the 26-yard line. Jonathan Babineau, 5 sacks last season, and Jaguars forced to punt.
I know this is one of Tony's favorite guys. There he is, number 95, working that right side, just pushing the pile back. They go to pass that game from inside to outside, and they can't get on the same level. Eugene Monroe gets pushed up the field, can't get back underneath to get Jonathan Babineau.
I just love his motor. Moose, a guy that just never stops. When he gets double teamed, he just keeps going, working towards the quarterback. He's going to be a key player for them this year.
Burks punt. Bounces inside the 20-yard line. Another look at the rookie, Blaine Gabbert. Brought down by Babineau. Just over 5 minutes remaining. First half here in Jacksonville. Falcons, 95-yard touchdown drive moments ago. Start from the 19-yard line following the Jaguars punt. And here's Turner. No gain. Jimmy, I know you have to go down and join Kurt Menefee at halftime. I just want you to know Darryl has enjoyed spending time with you up here in the booth so much more than those 2-a-days you put him through 2 decades ago.
Well, Darryl, you and Kenny, I've enjoyed it. And as cool as it was, really, this is the first time I've ever seen you operate up here. As cool as it was, I'm going to stick to the studio.
The air conditioning. Can't beat the air conditioning.
It's too hot up here.
You got my information in case that Gene Hackman party comes up
I
again,
got
right?
you there.
All right.
And I hope Goose is not getting too hot out on the field.
Hey, Coach, do me a favor before you leave. Give me one more wow, will you, please?
Wow.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Take care, Coach.
Ryan complete. Tony Gonzalez out to the 25-yard line.
Starting to spread it around a little bit now, Moose. Tony Gonzalez is getting in the mix.
That's the thing that Julio Jones does. You can't forget about everybody else. What he's going to do is he's going to create situations where the defense has to decide how they want to match up. Will you go one-on-one on the backside? And you can't let a guy like that run free through your defense. I mean, the guy is a freak. I can't believe, you know, at this stage of his career, how productive he still is at the tight end spot.
We're down in 4. Falcons must get to the 29-yard line for a first down. Ryan on the move. There is a flag as Ryan slides and picks up the first down. Here's Terry McCauley.
Offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty, third down.
The Pro Bowl right tackle, Tyson Claiborne, the guilty Falcon.
One of the guys that was re-signed in the offseason. And give Jacksonville's defense credit. They've gotten a lot of pressure on the Falcons. They've put themselves in good position on third down, and they've been able to force fourth downs. That situation, they make one of the defenders. Tyson Claiborne's got to grab a handful of jersey.
If he would have let that go 1 second earlier, I don't think he would have gotten that flag. And he knew it.
Now third down and 14. As Ryan throws complete to the fullback, Obi Mahaley, and he is stopped in his tracks by one of those free agent signings on the defensive side you talked about, Darryl, the former New York Jet, Drew Coleman.
Another key addition. We talked about it with the Atlanta Falcons. Drew Coleman coming in, you know, with the potential to be that nickel back for the Jaguars. Obi's going to make some good contact on the first tackler, but just great pursuit to the ball by Drew Coleman to finish him off.
Bosher back at his own 5-yard line. Scotty McGee from the 33. 4 yards on the return. Antone Smith, the special teams tackle. So Blaine Gabbert leads the Jaguars offense out for his third series. Terrific athlete. Played soccer, baseball, basketball. Finally picked up football in the 6th grade. Said, I just wanted to play everything and have fun.
Well, the big thing for Scotty McGee is to solidify this job as a punt returner. It's one of the positions that's open on this Jaguars team. Now, Mike Thomas, the wide receiver, can do it. Rasheed Mathis, the corner, can do it. But those are starters. And Jack Del Rio is looking for somebody in a backup role to solidify that job as the punt returner for this season.
Got the 36 on first down. Murphy tackled for a loss by Stephen Nicholas. Loss of 5 yards on the play. As we approach the 2-minute warning here in Jacksonville.
He's had a good first half, Stephen Nicholas, as a guy that's moved his way into the starting lineup for the Atlanta Falcons. And you can see why Brian Van Gorder likes him so much. He's had a nice first half.
Replaced former Jaguar Mike Peterson as the starter, having a terrific night back at home. 2-minute warning here in Jacksonville with the Falcons leading the Jaguars by 7. Welcome back. Falcons lead the Jaguars 10-3. Second down and 15 for Blaine Gabbert. And the Jaguars from their own 31.
False start, offense number 87. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Jared Dillard. That is the first Jaguars penalty. Coming up at the half, Kurt Menefee is here in Jacksonville. He will be joined by Jimmy Johnson, assuming he makes it downstairs in time, and Michael Strahan, who will grace us with his presence here in the broadcast booth during the second half. Scores and highlights as well. There's Michael introducing himself to Jimmy.
That's pretty quick.
You have an escort?
He had 2 escorts, guys.
Gabbert's pass is caught by Jason Hill out at the 36-yard line.
Nice throw on that timing pattern right there by Blaine Gabbert, getting it out, before the receivers finishing his break.
Gabbert 3 of 6, 27 yards. Jaguars facing a 3rd down and 10. They must get to the 46-yard line for a first down. Gabbert under pressure, and he fires out of bounds.
And that's something that he'll develop with time. I really felt that that pocket was still there. Instead of breaking out to the right, maybe stepping up a little bit, being able to stay into the middle of the field, have that whole field to work when you break out to that right. And we know he's athletic and mobile, but you kind of cut that field into a third. So everybody's adjusting, trying to get over there. But up until this point, he's been put into some tough situations, maybe not in the rhythm that we saw him in last week against New England.
Turks punt down at the 23-yard line with 1:36 remaining in the second quarter. Well, the Jaguars and Falcons join the entire NFL in celebrating USA Football Month. Throughout this month of August, USA Football is the official youth football development partner of the NFL Players Association, and each of the league's 32 teams teaching the sport's fundamentals and values to the millions of kids and adults who comprise America's football community. As part of USA Football Month, young players from throughout the Jacksonville area enjoying tonight's game courtesy of the Jaguars. Be a better player, coach, and football parent. Log on to usafootball.com all season long.
There's a couple of teams right there getting ready to line up and put their hands down at halftime.
Wonder if Jimmy will give them some coaching points.
Goose is right there. They get some pointers from Goose.
Bryant dumps it off, and it's through the hands of Jason Snelling. So, Darryl, how would you evaluate Jimmy's performance for only the 2nd time up in the booth tonight?
Much better than the first one. We got more than wow out of him, so that was a step in the right direction. I thought he was outstanding. He's got such a great perspective. Some of the topics that have been bounced around the entire preseason, and you get an opportunity for Jimmy to weigh in on him, and I thought his perspective was very interesting. A great example, the kickoff rule. Everybody's talked about, the issues with it, and then Jimmy looks at it from the perspective, I would change it up because I'm worried about my kickoff coverage team letting up a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's not a touchback situation and you have a big return. So I thought he had great perspective on a couple of issues that have been talked about quite a bit during the course of the preseason.
One thing I took out of Jimmy's story about his game with Terry back in '94 in the booth is that the play-by-play guy is indispensable.
Without a doubt. I mean, you solidified your position for long times to come.
At least in Jimmy's mind, I did. 3rd down and 10. Ryan out of the shotgun. Falcons must get to the 35. Ryan's pass is short. Intended for Douglas, and again pressure from Jeremy Mincy.
It has been there all night. Jacksonville's front has done a really nice job bringing pressure that time, bringing 6 guys, but still the ability to cover the guys downfield. Tough hit there on Matt Ryan right at the end of that throw.
We mentioned Mincy's name at least 3 times tonight, pressuring quarterback Matt Ryan. Bosher punting for the 4th time. McGee back deep for the Jaguars, who trail 10-3. McGee from the 37. Still on his feet, but going the wrong way.
Wow, what a great individual effort this is.
And it's the punter Bosher who knocks him out of bounds. So after all that, it's a return of 5 yards.
But he ran 200 yards, right?
At least.
We got to give him at least 30 extra yards just for style.
Yeah.
Here's one of my issues right there. Wrap up. You're on special teams, defense, it doesn't matter. Kerry Myers, he's an old quarterback, but he's playing coverage team, so he's got to learn to wrap up. You can't hit people at the NFL level and expect to knock them down.
Scotty McGee, as we mentioned, missed all of last season due to a shoulder injury. Jaguars start from the 42-yard line. As we hit 1 minute remaining, first half. Gabbard's pass is caught by Shorts and taken out to midfield, his third catch today. Jaguars take a timeout with 56 seconds on the clock.
Well, it's been an up and down game here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've worked in spurts. A couple of early turnovers right there, an overthrow, a fumble on an end around. So the Jaguar offense slow out of the gate, but not the Falcons. They were looking to get some explosive plays this season from Julio Jones, but it's Harry Douglas who has the big play in the first half tonight with a 76-yard touchdown catch. But the Jacksonville defense has played well throughout this first half, kept it to the score we are at right now at 10-3.
Falcons have been here in Jacksonville since Tuesday. You mentioned these teams scrimmaged together on Wednesday night. The head coach is very close, worked together for 8 years. First on the Ravens staff and then here in Jacksonville. Richard Murphy down to the Falcons' 43-yard line.
They both talked about how important it was, you know, especially this preseason, to be able to get their players practicing against people different from their own team. So, you know, when some people were maybe backing away from these scrimmages that have gone on between teams throughout the course of the preseason in years past, you know, both of these coaches felt it was very important this year to get into that environment.
Gabbard off the hands of Jason Hill, so the clock stops with 25 seconds remaining.
Again, on that play, I still felt that Blaine Gabbert could have stayed in the pocket there too. You know, looking to get outside. You know, just it'll take time. You sense that pressure. You got to trust your guys. Just step up there. Don't break to the outside. You may feel a little bit of pressure off to your right, but be able to feel it and slide just a little bit moving forward. If you break contain, I know you're athletic as a quarterback, but these defensive players at this level have unbelievable speed for their size.
Thank you, Darryl.
Now on 2nd and 10, here's Gabbard looking for Hill.
I give you one a game, Goose. I always give you one prop.
You did. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm going on a little hunt in there at halftime, Darryl. You're going to be jealous.
You're going to relive some old memories, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to go in the locker room with the Atlanta Falcons and see what kind of adjustments they're going to make, and I'm going to come back in the second half and let everybody know what I think and some of the changes that they're going to go and make in the second half.
Why ask the coach if you can actually go inside and listen to him?
Yeah. This way I can interpret it for myself. I don't have to, you know.
Which could be scary.
Do you grab any snacks inside the locker room at halftime, Goose?
Yeah, a couple of oranges, Kenny.
Third down and 10 as Gabbard fires downfield looking for Jared Dillard.
Now, if you stay in the pocket, sometimes this is going to happen. But I like this better. I mean, he hangs in there. He feels the pressure, stands in, delivers a football. That might have been a little bit late. Trey Lewis lucky he didn't get a flag thrown on that one.
I think Gabbard agrees. Oh, it's 16 seconds remaining. Here's Turk punting for the third time.
One of the best in the business right there, Kasim Osgood. You're not going to see that very often. Great special teams player.
He's got to the Pro Bowl 3 times as a special teams player.
Oh, that kills my net.
But the good news for the Jaguars, only 7 seconds on the clock. Matt Ryan has played the entire first half for Atlanta. He will take a knee, and the Falcons will take a 10-3 lead into the locker room. Who will be waiting for them there? Tony Siragusa. The halftime report with Kurt, Michael, Jimmy, coming up from Jacksonville. Jack Del Rio's Jaguars trailing the Falcons 10-3 as we check out the first half numbers.
Well, one of the things that Jacksonville has to correct is the turnover situation. They ranked last in the NFL with the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos in turnover ratio. You see they were a -2. More first downs, more time of possession, more total yards, but those 2 turnovers derailed their performance in the first half.
Scobie's kickoff sails through the end zone, so the Falcons will start from their own 20. And Goose, you were inside the Falcons locker room during halftime.
Darryl, I got to tell you, man, I got the itch.
Oh,
you know, you get in the locker room, man, and your hair starts standing up, and you start, your skin starts crawling, and you want to just jump in some pads. I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with Atlanta, the way they went, and Mike Smith, how he came and approached his defense and said, listen, guys, you have to get off the field when it's 3rd down and 10 or more. We cannot have breakdowns like we had earlier. He talked about all the little things, Darryl, about, tackling the right way, finishing your blocks, keeping it going. When you get knocked down on the ground, get it back up. We got to get to the quarterback. I like how he went and approached his halftime. He didn't go and scream or yell. He told them all about the little things, about get that stuff done and we'll get better. And I think they will get better. Second half, some of the younger guys are going to be playing, but he was really happy about the first half, except for 3rd down. He wants to make sure that they understand they have to get off on 3rd down and long, and they cannot have breakdowns.
Hey, both sides of the ball on that one, Tony, too, because in that first quarter, they got into 3rd and short offensively and didn't convert. The offense didn't stay on the field.
Yep. And Goose, your former teammate with the Baltimore Ravens, Chris Redmond, now in quarterback on his first pass, the first catch tonight made by Julio Jones. So it's now 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line for Redmond and the Falcons as Redmond hands it off to Quince Rogers, the 5'6" rookie, a 5th-round pick out of Oregon State.
Another one of those guys that they really feel can add a different dimension to this Falcons offense. He's very undersized, very hard to find in that backfield. He's got tremendous breakaway speed. And the other great thing, you look at him as he steps into the huddle, it's unbelievable. But, I mean, the changeup that he provides for Michael Turner, I mean, that's going to be difficult for defenses to adjust to.
Rogers gained 7 on 1st down, now 2nd down and 3. Off the play fake to Rogers. Redmond connects with Rogers out across the 40 for Falcons 1st down. Goose, you were talking about Rogers the other day. You said as a defensive player, when going up against a running back as small as Rogers, it was hard to see who was in the backfield and where he was lined up behind all those big bodies.
Well, you just look at the size of him and look at the size compared to the offensive lineman. When you're a defensive lineman, you go, you break down, you're fighting a double team, and then you're peeking between guys and trying to find the running back. And all of a sudden, that running back is so low that he's down near where the offensive lineman knee or thigh would be. It just makes it really hard to go and see him, especially when he's making cuts. So it's an advantage for a running back with a small size like that, especially if he has that jiggle and that quickness to go and hit, to slash into those holes. Those holes really don't have to be that big for him to go and get through.
And now Redmond to Julio Jones, his 2nd catch of this drive, Darryl, and it's good for 19 yards.
Good throw by Chris Redmond, good timing by Julio Jones, getting the right depth on the route because this ball is let go. He hasn't come out of his break at that point yet, so some good discipline by the first-year player. You ready? You with us yet? Rumbling back there.
Hello, Michael. 1st and 10 from the Jaguars 40. And this is Rogers again finding the hole and takes it down inside the 31-yard line, close to another 1st down.
Now, how tall is Jaquez?
5'6".
5'6". You know what they like him, though? He's a change of pace runner. Something they tried to do the last few years, but Norwood was injured, so it put a lot of pressure on Michael Turner. And now you have a different change of pace, which is tough on the defense.
Yeah, but look, he's pretty stout, too. Look at the biceps.
Built like
big
you.
Thighs.
Built like you, Moose.
Years ago.
Michael Strahan has made the trek from the field up to the broadcast booth. Jimmy Johnson remains downstairs as Redmond finds the rookie out of Georgia Tech, Lucas Cox. 10-yard reception. Jarris Wilkinson made the tackle.
And this is going to be one of the concerns for Jack Del Rio. last week against New England. I think he felt good about how his starters played. They didn't play very long, and that's why that score got away from him. What he wanted to see tonight was a good first half by his starting groups on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. He's not going to be happy with the turnovers that they had offensively, but now the opening drive, here we go again. We got some issues with the depth on this team as Atlanta moves down the field right away.
Redmond has hit on his first 4 pass attempts, looking to make it 5 for 5 to the end zone. Douglas, the intended receiver, no flags. Terrence Wheatley on the coverage.
Good position by Terrence Wheatley. I mean, that's as much his real estate as it is Harry Douglas's. So he stays there, holds his ground, gets up and competes for that pass.
Douglas scored the game's only touchdown as Michael gets adjusted. How'd you enjoy the first half down in the field with
I enjoyed it. It was a lot easier than this. I already see that. I kind of like watching from the sideline. I think I'd rather play instead of be here right now.
But I used to being this high up in the stadium.
Nah, not quite.
As Rodgers fights his way down to the 18-yard line.
We got to keep our eye on Tony. He got the opportunity to go into the Falcons locker room and actually listen to Mike Smith talk at halftime. He said he got the itch back. He wants to get back out on the field.
I give Tony one play.
Michael knows, hey,
hey, Tony, I love you, but I give you one play before. We had discussions about your knee before the game. Remember that?
All right. One series, man. Give me a series.
You be grabbing the hamstring?
Just as long as it's not any pass play.
No, one pass play. You're correct on that. One pass play.
3rd down and 7. Redmond out of the shotgun. Falcons must get to the 11-yard line. Eric Weems able to pick up a first down.
Eric Weems is the guy that's been mostly known for special teams. And I think they want to get him more involved in the receiving game. And it's good, though. Also, you see Redmond out there at quarterback. Now you feel like you need 2 running backs or more. You need 2 or 3 good receivers, and you need 2 quarterbacks. So whenever you see a backup quarterback come in and play the way he's playing right now, I'd be excited.
What do you think about the new 3rd quarterback rule?
You know what? I don't understand half the rules they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still baffled over the kickoff rule. I think it takes a lot of great players out of the game.
Yeah. Devin Hester's.
Yeah, I mean, that was one exciting thing.
Yeah.
Well, the 3rd quarterback rule is no longer. You can dress 46 players. There's Rodgers inside the 5. He's in, but there is a flag. Penalty marker back at the 11-yard line.
Holding offense number 42. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's the fullback, Lucas Cox.
A guy his size, you expected him to bounce to the outside and try and beat the defenders to the pylon, but he turns, watch him square and turn up right here. Gets downhill and carries everybody in.
But that's one of those plays when you watch it in the meeting room tomorrow, you'll be embarrassed. Yeah.
You raise your hand and go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
you know when the play was coming up.
I have to go to the bathroom. Coach, I'm
right
not feeling well.
The Falcons force back just outside the 20-yard line. Gartrell Johnson, the low back. Redmond throws to his left, and a diving attempt is made by the rookie out of Boise State, Ryan Winterswick.
Some critical penalties on the Atlanta Falcons tonight. We had the holding penalty that negated a touchdown in that first half. We had the illegal formation that negated a big gain early in a drive. So,
but you can see on this play, that would have been a 2-yard gain, and you could tell this is a guy who really wants to make the team. I mean, that effort right there, you usually don't get that in preseason unless you have the 2nd, 3rd units in the game.
And Michael, here's a defensive end at Boise State making the transition to the offensive side.
Poor guy.
Now on 2nd down, Redmond with time.
Nice catch.
Great catch.
Came down in bounds, Goose.
Wow.
That's Kerry Meyer, the former quarterback at Kansas.
That was almost as good as Roddy White.
Redmond's pass complete to number 80, Kerry Meyer.
Meyer getting both feet down in bounds.
I mean, to be able to go back shoulder, to go up and compete for that ball against David Jones, and then to get your feet down.
I think they should really hurry up and run this play.
Yeah, they might get a red flag out here. There it is.
Jaguars will challenge.
But I love how guys play it off. You know, you play it off, kind of like being held. You act like you got held when there's a bad play to your side and you know you didn't.
Jacksonville's challenge to the pass was incomplete. Timeout.
So we will head to break and check in with Mike Pereira, our rules analyst, when we return. Back in Jacksonville, our rules analyst Mike Pereira is with us. Mike, what do you think?
It's an incomplete pass.
After review, the receiver never controlled the ball. It hit the ground out of bounds. Incomplete pass. 3rd down and 20 yards to go. Jacksonville is not charged with a timeout.
Mike, Terry McCauley agrees with you.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those, and I'm down here really in Tony's den. I thought that thing was complete all the way. Great catch, and it's just amazing at the angles that we do get. But that ball was loose. It touched him when he was already out of bounds when it was loose, which made it incomplete right off the bat. But just some great camera work actually picked that up, and I'll tell you, they were, what, 5 seconds away from having the ball being snapped, and then Del Rio and Jacksonville wouldn't have got that challenge in.
How do you like Tony's den down there, Mike?
I love this. He's got better technology than you guys have up there.
I've been complaining ever since I saw the setup.
Man, it's unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
This is incredible.
But he doesn't know how to use half of it. That's the problem.
Listen, but
Yeah,
he's
where is he?
He's a quick
not even
learner.
there.
Hey, Mike, do you have any clue that I can hear everything you're saying?
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm
Do
sorry.
you think my mic was off or something?
No, but you know, the good thing is he walked away because he didn't want everybody to see him when I'm here with my nice suit.
Yeah, that yellow tie. I know you didn't pick that yellow tie out either, Mike.
It's nice. If you want to try, I'll let you wear it if you want.
Yeah,
it won't fit. It won't fit. This outfit won't fit you.
Listen, I don't wear anything that says petite. And I saw the tag on that one.
Mike, great to have you back this season. The unanimous Rookie of the Year in sports television a year ago.
He saved us a couple times.
That is Goose's setup compared to your bunker in Hollywood.
Boy, I'll tell you, I'd like to take this with me. This is incredible. I don't want to take the Goose with me, but I'll take the setup with me.
Penalty markers prior to the snap.
Offense number 65. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Jose Valdez.
Whenever you're a rookie like that, a young guy, you jump off sides. That is one of the most frightening things you can do. Because you realize every play and every step you take is criticized, and that's the last thing you need to happen.
Especially when you almost take the team out of field goal range.
Now 3rd down and 25. Redmond underneath to carry Meyer. He gets back into field goal range for Matt Bryant.
A lot of talk about Julio Jones, and deservedly so, but I tell you what, this Atlanta wide receiver core is pretty deep all the way down, 4 or 5.
Well, they felt like everybody could focus on Roddy White and also on Tony Gonzalez, so he gives them another option. It looks a lot like Larry Fitzgerald, especially wearing number 11.
Here's Julio, war number 8 at Alabama. Here's Bryant from the right hash, 34-yard attempt. He hit from 40 earlier and is now 2 for 2. So Matt Bryant extends the Falcons' lead here in Jacksonville. It's now 13-3. Well, in 2 weeks, college football comes to FX. Charles Davis and Gus Johnson bring you all the action beginning in Norman, Oklahoma. The #1 ranked Sooners host the upset-minded in-state rival Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. The FX Saturday college football game of the week presented by Russell Athletic in high definition all season long only on FX as we take a look at the preseason power rankings from one of the top college football analysts in the business, Charles Davis.
The hardest working man in sports, Charles Davis.
No doubt. So we look forward to college football on FX. Here's Scotty McGee. And McGee with another big return out across the 35 to the 38-yard line. McGee. 32 yards on the return. Terrific field position for the Jaguars. Falcons leading the Jaguars 13-3. Kenny Albert, Darryl Johnston, Michael Strahan up in the broadcast booth. Tony Siragusa, Mike Pereira on the field. Kurt Menefee, Jimmy Johnson, here as well. Mike Smith's Atlanta Falcons, 13-3 a year ago. Best record in the NFC. They sent 9 players to the Pro Bowl, leading this game by 10. Blaine Gabbert. And the Jaguars, 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Over the top, incomplete, intended for the rookie out of Boise State, Tommy Gallarda. Matt Ryan went the entire first half for the Falcons. He is standing by with Goose.
And we're here with Matt Ryan, obviously. And Matt, I talked to you before the game, and actually one of the things you wanted to get out of today's game, and especially in the first half when you're going to be playing, and you said it was the mental errors. You wanted to go and minimize the mental errors. Do you think you got that accomplished?
You know what? I think we improved on it from last week. We still made a few, and that's going to happen in the preseason. You know, a couple of procedural penalties before the ball snap. We got to clean those things up. All in all, not bad, though. Came away with 10 points in the first half and playing against a good defense.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez, I thought he'd be more involved earlier in the game. Is that part of the plan, not really to throw the ball to him, were they going and
it's just
all over him a little bit?
Yeah, just kind of the way the ball went. You know, it didn't kind of find Tony early in the game, but with the guys that we have, it's going to find, you know, everybody at a different time. And, you know, Tony knows his role in this offense. He's going to do a great job for us this year.
It was funny watching you when you had Julio one-on-one on the outside, and I was pointed out to my producer, I'm like, hey, watch, get a camera on Julio. And I saw you looking at him, and you threw out a little bit of fade to him, but they had good coverage on him.
Yeah, good coverage. Not a very good throw, a little bit behind him. Julio's one of those guys who can really run, so you just got to, you know, let that ball go, get it out there, and give him a chance.
Is that something that you have to work on more? You know, you guys coming a little bit late and really not having the timing down. Is that something that you have to work on?
No question. You know, that's one of those things where you're on the same page as somebody. And we've only been together a short time, but, you know, I feel like with him, it's every day we're making strides. And hopefully by, you know, the time we get up to Chicago, week 1, we'll be ready to go.
Chris Redmond jumps in, does a great job here on that nice drive, except for the penalties there at the end.
Red's out there slinging it. He has been, since I've been here, he's been an awesome backup. Helped me out a ton, and during the preseason, it's good to see him get out there and get a chance to throw it around.
Michael Strahan up in the box, you know, for his first time, he's way up there. You see him up there? Yeah, he's all dressed up. He's waving. There he is, waving.
Right there.
Yeah. He's all happy seeing all the depth on your team, and just the way you guys came out in that first half. He's pretty happy with what he saw.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm excited about this football team. We've got a lot of good guys in that locker room, a lot of depth, and we're excited about this year.
Mike's looking to get back into, you know, maybe playing a little defense.
Hey, Tony.
He said he can play about 3 plays. What do you think?
Nowhere else in the NFC South. He can play here, but nowhere else in the NFC South.
You have a question for Mike?
Tell him, yeah. You know what? Tell him how are you? Is he holding the mic? How did you make him hold his own mic?
He wants
Please
to know
explain
how
that.
you're holding your own mic.
No, you forced him. Please explain that.
Yeah, what do you mean? Well, I just threw it to him.
Goose just gave it to me, and I decided to hold it up. You know, it's
I
good
don't
for
hold
both of
mics,
us.
Mike.
He's his own man, I guess.
Yep, he's his own man, absolutely.
Maybe there's a future in it.
Yeah, he's looking for a job. What do you think, Mike? Can he sit next to you?
Yeah, as long as I'm still sitting there, he can come.
In about 15 years, he said.
All right, good. That works for me.
All right, thanks a lot,
All right,
Matt.
Chris. Good to
Take
see
care. Great first half.
And I should point out, Michael, that Matt had excellent technique holding that microphone.
He really did. He had the logo facing the right way and close enough where not a lot of, you know, noise, static.
Absolutely. 54-yard attempt from the right hash, Josh Scobie. And Scobie's kick is good.
Made it look easy.
Scobie became a father for the first time on Monday. Hits a 54-yard field goal on Friday. Back in Jacksonville with the Falcons leading by a touchdown. Late third quarter with Michael Strahan joining us in the broadcast booth. We heard from Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan, who played the entire first half for Atlanta. Josh Scobie, 54-yard field goal. Minutes ago, Michael, I guess his leg was tired. No touchback. However, the Jaguars able to recover. Jamar Newsom pounces on it at the Atlanta 12.
That's kind of one of those situations that Jimmy Johnson had talked about. Now you're expecting the ball to be kicked into the end zone, so you're back a little bit deeper. You come up, you mistime it, you misjudge it, goes through your hands. Now it's out on the ground.
And as a special teams coach, I honestly would tell my guy, kick it short every once in a while. Let's get a little practice on this. You're still going to have to learn to cover. You're not going to do that by kicking out the end zone. So let's go out here, kick it short. Let the guys know you're doing that, though, so at least they know to get down there and cover the play.
Well, you know, you've got a group of guys also that are going to be in a position where to make the team, they've got to perform on special teams. And you're losing so many opportunities with all these touchbacks in the preseason to judge who's going to be your good special teams players.
So Antone Smith unable to handle the football. Newsome the recovery. And now Richard Murphy hit for a loss of 1 by Emmanuel Stevens. Michael, ready to go back about a decade? January 2001.
You were really trying there, too.
Yeah,
I remember that specifically.
I love your hair.
Look at the fade. Look at your face. The mullet was in back then, bro. Right after that, Joe Dirt came out, dude. You don't remember that movie? That was about me.
There's Gabbard on second and 11 off the deflection. Murphy auto to make the catch. That, of course, prior to, and I hate to bring it up,
Super Bowl 35.
Super Bowl 35. Who won the arm wrestle?
Goose. That was a fake arm wrestle.
Oh,
I didn't want to hurt him before the game. I wanted it to be a fair game, keep him alive and keep him in the game. But they won. I take my hat off to the Ravens. Goose played well. Team played well. There were about 10 Ray Lewises on the field that day, and we just couldn't compete.
You know what he said? He said he's left-handed because you guys had to arm wrestle with right hands. They wouldn't let you. They wouldn't make you switch to the other side.
Well, it looks like he combs that mullet with his right hand.
Come on, man. Don't be jealous. Getting a little thin. Let's get a shot of Mike in the back here.
Third down and 11.
The natural. It's the hey, Tony, we like to refer to it as the natural fade.
That's the natural fade.
You don't have to cut it anymore.
No, we had a lot of fun. That was a great time, man.
Hey, you know what? My mean look isn't really working.
Is my nose really that big?
Your head is really that big.
Nah, come on, man. Look how big my nose is. It doesn't really look. Yeah, it is. Look at that little dent right there. That was from you, Michael. You hit me one time.
Here's Scobie again, this time from 28. So, trick photography, Michael.
Oh, you guys like my new booth?
Where's that thing at? You're lucky I'm not near you.
You got yours.
I got yours. Bring it mine next time, Goose.
Oh, what's that? I found a little nugget.
A Super Bowl ring downstairs. 4 here in the booth.
Yes. As long as I have one, he can do that.
There you go. You got it.
Another Scobie kickoff through the end zone. Michael, your thoughts on the new kickoff rule, the kickoffs this season from the 35-yard line?
I don't like it. I mean, I'm tired of seeing balls go, out of the end zone. I think that's one of the most exciting plays you can have in football. Watching a guy like Devin Hester and remember Eric Metcalf back in the day. Watching these guys weave their way through traffic, making big plays. I prefer to see that instead of what we're seeing right now.
Taking part of the game away, I totally agree, Mike. I think that, a lot of teams go and base a lot of their offense on the return game. Exactly right with Devin Hester. I mean, you go up against him, and that's who the Atlanta Falcons are going to be seeing on September 11th in Week 1. And, I know it's an outside stadium and it could be windy, but, if you're the Atlanta Falcons and Devin Hester's back there, you're kicking it out of the end zone every time. I mean, you don't want to even give him an opportunity to go and put you in bad field position.
Yeah, the other thing, Tony, is I know it's geared towards player safety, but the 9 guys that are blocking up front, they're not taking that play off. I mean, you've got to be back and ready to block in case the kicker is, or the returner is going to bring that out. So, we're trying to protect and make sure that there's player safety there, but there's still a huge collision for 8 or 9 of those guys on kickoff, regardless if it goes 9 yards deep in the end zone.
Nice spin by Rodgers, takes it out to the 33-yard line. Mike Pereira down on the field in the vicinity of the Goose.
Yeah, what do you think,
What do you think, Mike?
I got a chance to talk to Rich McKay before the game, and he's the chairman of the competition committee, and they're really interested in the numbers. I mean, the key numbers really seem to be 82 and 60. 82% of kickoff for return last year. The number is 60 this year. If it goes below 60%, then the committee is going to take another look at this after the season is over. You know, they have been trying to get safety into this kickoff game by eliminating the three-person wedge, by spreading the formation out. They did it twice on onside kicks, so you didn't have these types of collisions on the onside kick. Like each guy, you have to have one guy outside the numbers on each formation on kickoffs now. So this is not just one thing. They've been working on this for years, and I think they'll be open-minded if really it turns out that there are less than 60% of kickoffs returned.
And the numbers, Mike, during week 1 of the preseason, over 68% of the kickoffs were returned. Just under 32% resulted in touchbacks.
Well, then again, with it being preseason, Kenny, this could be the only opportunity for teams to go and see what they have. A lot of these young guys that we're seeing here in the second half for both of these teams are going to make the squad because of special teams. And if they go and kick the ball out every time, they really can't evaluate the player. So I think we're going to see a lot more returns in the preseason rather than the regular season when, you know, I think defensive defensive coordinators would rather, you know, an offense start on the 20 because, you know, your odds of going 80 yards to score is a lot lower, you know, than it would be at the 25 or the 30.
You'll see a lot of guys taking the ball from 5 yards deep and just trying to bring it out. Because from where they're lining up, just the fact you don't get a running start, I've seen quite a few returns from inside, with 5 yards inside of the touchdown, make it out to the 20.
You know, the other thing, too, that's interesting about this is that when this rule was first proposed, the committee took it to the owners' meeting saying that they wanted to move the touchback from the 20 to the 25.
During the kick,
that's how they presented it.
Receiving team number 22. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
And really, that was interesting because the coaches didn't want it. The coaches wanted to leave it at the 20, and that's really the only way they would vote for it to get passage. I think it would be interesting, and Rich McKay said it, I think it would have been interesting to see if they would have put the touchback to the 25, what strategy would have remained in the game at that point. But coaches got their way on that one.
How does a rule like this get put in? Is it voted on by just the coaches, or is it the commissioner? I mean, you know, when was this rule put in, and who voted on it?
Well, the first discussion would have been in Indianapolis in the first competition committee meeting that they had, and then in Florida, their second meeting that they had, they put together the wording of it, and it is the competition committee that proposes it, and that's all they do. They vote on it, and then they put it in front of the ownerships with their vote, which is probably 8-0 in this case. I'm not certain what it is, but then it goes in front of the 32 clubs, and you have to get 3/4 of the clubs to vote for it to pass. And it did pass, and it passed with 6 nay votes, which were, by the way, Bears, Cleveland, those teams that really suffer the most from this passage of this rule.
They suffer the salary cap problem also. If they went in the draft or in free agency last year and drafted a person specifically for that reason, to return kicks, now all of a sudden they have all this money invested in a person who they thought was going to return kicks. Now they got to find a spot for them, and they still have this money that they're out, which is unfair.
And guys, we spoke with Mike Smith, the Falcons head coach, and he told us as a defensive coach, I'll take a touchback every time.
Of course. I would too, knowing he had 80 yards to go. I take my chance of you driving 80 yards.
But I think that's the interesting thing. Both you and Tony are defensive players, and knowing that they would start with an 80-yard drive, you still want to change because of the excitement of the kickoff return.
Yeah, as a fan, I want to see a return.
3/4 in the books here in Jacksonville. Falcons lead by 4. We get set for quarter number 4, second of 4 preseason games for both the Falcons and the Jaguars. They will also meet during the regular season in Atlanta on December 15th. Falcons lead by 4. First and 10 from the 22-yard line for rookie quarterback out of Missouri, Blaine Gabbert, and the Jaguars. Gabbert can't find anyone downfield, and he throws it away. Through with his left hand.
There's a little bit of progression right there by Blaine Gabbert. You know, one of the things that he talks about playing the position is being smart, and some of those decisions are just not taking a sack on first down. You're outside the pocket. There's lots of rules that protect you as a quarterback. All right, right now, Get it out of there. Just get it out. Even if you got to switch it to your left hand and throw it out.
And if I'm Matthews, the defensive end, don't assume he's ever thrown it. You pump fake me, I'm running right through your stomach.
Now on 2nd and 10 for Juan Harris. Ball comes loose. And the Jaguars recover. Harris, the rookie out of Troy.
You know, that's something like when you see these fumbles and these turnovers, those are the things I think that happen when you don't have these padded practices. I mean, here's a guy, you got to get used to being hit as a running back. Here's a second, third team guy. He's going to be in these games. They're going to see if he can hold on to the ball, if he can take the punishment when you're tired. When you're in practice and there is no contact, or there are 14 pad practices, 11 of which have to take place in the first 11 weeks, I don't think that bodes well to the line position or to the running back position.
I think the running game's definitely going to suffer, you know, as the year moves on.
Gabbert on 3rd and 7 takes off, and he has a first down.
The thing is, I didn't mind the padded. I liked half the practice in pads. I like to do the 9-on-7, which was strictly running. I like doing that in pass. I like doing pass rush, and I like one team period. Other than that, we would take it off the second half, which kind of worked, you know, kept you fresh, but at the same time, you needed to hone your technique. You need to learn about your hand placement, foot placement when you're feeling that pressure against you. That's what you don't get when you don't have padded practices.
And another element of the new CBA, Michael, the 4-hour rule during training camp and preseason. As soon as any coach goes onto the practice field, even with one player, clock starts.
I won't tell you I wouldn't have liked that one. I would have liked that one. I would have pushed the coach out there early. Hey, Coughlin, let me come out here and talk to you early.
The great thing about the Atlanta staff, they said they actually have an area called the bullpen, and all the coaches hang there together until every player is on the field, and then they walk down to maximize the 4 hours that they have on the field together.
Wow. But you know, now with these rules and the practice, I think I could have played 20 years.
Maybe 22.
Maybe 22. It takes a lot of wear and tear off your body that you lose games in practice sometimes for the beating that you take.
From the Falcons 48, Gabbert swings it out. Harris, and he is brought down from behind after a gain of 1.
And the Jaguars are interesting. The Jaguars over the last few years haven't finished strong. I think, you know, they just haven't been able to close out the season. Last year had a chance of winning the division, lost against the Colts. And maybe a rule like this will keep them fresh, because when you look at a team year after year that seems to lose games towards the end, you worry about how fresh are they. We'll see if this rule will benefit a team like this, even though they're young and they have a lot of new players and things like that. It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
2nd down and 9. Pass deflected and nearly picked off by Owens. You're right, Michael. They lost their last 3 games a year ago after starting 8-5. Chance to clinch the division in Week 16 against the Colts. They actually shared first place 5 of the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. And you just go to wonder how much of that is guys just flat out run out of gas. And you also have to have the mentality of we don't want to win. We expect to win. And I think Jacksonville has to get over that hump. And that's just something they haven't been able to do the last few years.
It's their 17th season in the league. Haven't been to the playoffs since 2007. 3rd down and 9. And Gabbert is taken down back at the 43-yard line. Parade Jerry, who was injured earlier, first-round pick 2 seasons ago with the sack of Gabbert.
And that's promising for the Atlanta Falcons, because here's a guy that they expected. They took him in the 1st round to be an inside guy to generate pressure. They talk about how explosive he is off the ball, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. They've seen some flashes this year. They continue to work with him, and you saw a little bit of that right there.
A nice spin move. I mean, a nice swing move.
First charge timeout, Atlanta.
Nobody back deep for the Falcons, so Atlanta calls timeout with a 4-point lead here in Jacksonville. Early 4th quarter. Welcome back. Falcons lead by 4. Well, this is your football season. Create your fantasy football team today at foxsports.com. Fox Fantasy Football is brand new and better than ever. Play today at foxsports.com. a potential top pick in fantasy football, will join us after our next commercial break. There he is. He has hijacked Goose's headset. Hi, Maurice. It's Maurice Jones-Drew, the two-time Pro Bowl running back with the Jaguars. He's excited about Goose's new setup this season.
They had to see that touch of player, didn't they?
Well, there are 8 officials on the field tonight.
I don't think they saw it.
One more than the usual 7. I know Maurice saw it in all those monitors. Pro Bowl tight end Tony Gonzalez on the right. His night is through. Falcons leading by 4, early 4th quarter. Kenny Albert, Darryl Johnston, Michael Strahan up in the broadcast booth. Tony Siragusa, Mike Pereira. Kurt Menefee, Jimmy Johnson on hand as well. Jimmy in the booth during the first half. Chris Redmond and the Falcons 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. And on first down, this is Rodgers. As we welcome in from Goose's den, Maurice Jones-Drew, the two-time Pro Bowl running back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maurice, how do you enjoy the view from down there?
I love it. I love it. I have so many angles. I don't know what to do with myself. I might have to switch my man cave up a little bit.
Yeah, this is my little man cave right here. You know, we had an opportunity. We got here a couple days ago, and everywhere we go in this city, I see your jersey. I hope you're getting reimbursed or some piece of that. But the fans here absolutely love you. I mean, tell us about your experience here in Jacksonville.
My experience has been great. I think fans, me being 5'7", have a chance to kind of feel the way I feel. You know, a lot of these guys and a lot of these people have played football growing up, and me getting the opportunity and playing the way I played with this team throughout the years kind of helped out a little bit. And I think a lot of people like my name too. Not too many people with a hyphen name in this league, so it's all right.
It's not the way you play at all. It's not. No.
Nah, they like Mojo, I guess. I don't know. I got like 40 nicknames, so it's all right.
All right, that's good.
Hey, Maurice, this is Darryl.
How are you?
I'm well. The big question is, how are you doing? I know you're coming back from an arthroscopic surgery, missed last week, sitting out tonight. All precautionary?
Yeah, you know, I'm a little antsy, man. I almost went in at halftime and put on some pads and came back out in a different number. Hearing the little girl sing the national anthem and it's bringing back all these juices and all these things start to get going. I start sweating a little bit. I didn't know what to do, but it's all precautionary right now. Hopefully I'll be able to get out next week or the week after, but we're just taking it day by day and just getting ready for week 1.
Now, is your rehab on schedule, behind, or a little bit ahead of where they expected you to be right now?
Well, I was ahead of schedule. They just wanted to be real, I guess, conservative with everything. I was able to come back and run right away. That was one thing we were looking for, was just going out and practicing right away with the team, and I did that the first day. Then they just wanted to be conservative about it, and they gave me opportunities to take my time, you know, rehab, do whatever I could to get back, and, you know, things are going great right now.
Maurice, can you stick with us after the commercial?
No problem.
More from Mojo when we return to Jacksonville.
Welcome to the road, Michael!
Yeah, thank you, ladies.
Boy, they didn't welcome Jimmy like that, Michael.
That was Michael Pereira they were talking about. I thought you were dancing up there in the booth.
They meant me. The better looking Michael.
Luke McCown now at a quarterback for the Jaguars. Swings it out to Cecil Shorts. Maurice Jones-Drew still with us downstairs.
Maurice, I want to ask you a question. You get a first-round draft pick, a quarterback, Blaine Gabbert. What kind of guy is he, and how's he fitting in with the rest of you guys?
He fits in perfectly. He's a competitor, and I think that's why they brought him in. They want him to compete with Dave. They want him to go out there and fight for a job. And one of the great things about him is when he throws a great pass, he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't jump around. He knows he's supposed to do that. When he throws a bad pass, when you see all the frustration and everything break out, and he just, you know, he's one of those guys that makes everybody want to play around him.
Maurice, how about Cecil Shorts, the rookie out of Division III Mount Union? He's made a number of nice catches today.
Well, you guys haven't seen anything. I mean, we've seen guys with 2 or 3 guys on his back, and he's catching the ball with his hands. I mean, this is nothing. We've seen better things in practice, so I just can't wait to see him get out and make some more plays. We need to go ahead and score. I told him if we score, you know, I'll make sure the other rookies take him out to have a nice dinner or something.
Now from the 40 on first down. McCown to the outside. And that is Jamar Newsome. But He came down out of bounds. Who are some of the other young players, Maurice, that have impressed you in camp so far?
I mean, every wide receiver we've had, Jamar, just seeing, he's one. I think we got some of the top free agent wide receivers in the game. Richard Murphy's another guy that came out and played well. Both running backs, DeJuan Harris. I think we have a lot of offensive linemen that are going to showcase a little bit here. You'll see soon. You know, I don't really look too much at the defensive side, man. They get too much notoriety already because of Mike. So I try to just stick with more offensive guys. Here goes DeJuan right here. I try to tell you guys, he's electric. So we got a lot of guys that can come out and play. Our GM, Gene Smith, he's done a great job with his team getting guys here, and we just can't wait to see everybody play in this atmosphere and for the regular season start, because football has been missed too long.
Well, this is definitely an offensive league, so all the stuff about defense is not true. But how is our guy Mercedes Lewis doing? You know, he went to that Jay Glazer, Fox's own Jay Glazer's MMA athletics program this offseason. Have you seen any changes in him?
Oh, definitely. He's very strong. I mean, he's slinging guys around. One thing he does, he always runs around punching people and kicking, so you know he's been doing that MMA stuff.
He's been hanging around with Glazer too much. And you know, the UFC is on Fox now, so maybe he can come on and fight with us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stop him from fighting. We need him more here on the field, slinging these defensive linemen around than fighting Silver or anybody else right now. But he's one of those guys that you can trust that, you know, he's always going to be there. He's always going to make a play. And year after year, he's just getting better. And I mean, this year, exceptionally, him getting a deal, him coming in ready to play. I mean, you just saw some of the stuff he could do now, catching the ball with his hands. We got some plays designed, so we can't wait.
And I have one more question for you. Where do you feel like you should be drafted in the fantasy draft?
Oh, number one, Mike. You know that. As always, I feel number one. If it's not number one, don't draft me at all.
I love the confidence.
I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Maurice.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. No
Thanks.
problem.
You got it.
I love the man game.
You like it?
I'm going to have to tell my wife she can get me one.
The number one pick in Michael Strahan's fantasy league will be?
I don't play fantasy. I played real. So after I played real, I decided fantasy didn't work for me.
Cliff Matthews is the injured Falcon with 6:35 remaining, and the Jaguars on the move.
Now, our time spent down here, Kenny, you have a different perception of Jacksonville. We don't get to see him very often. We don't get an opportunity to talk to him very much. And you come down and you talk to the players like Maurice Jones-Drew and Mercedes Lewis, and you talk to Jack Del Rio. There's a tremendous sense of confidence with this group down here this year. And the big thing for them is, can they stay healthy? Because especially at the end of last season, when you lose a guy like Maurice Jones-Drew and how important he is to the offense, if these guys can stay healthy, you know, there could be an opportunity for them to be right in that same position like they were last year, maybe going up to Indianapolis in the month of December with an opportunity to secure the division. And to your point, can they do it this time? Have they learned enough? Have they learned how to win? I think just being down here and talking to these guys, I think that if they put themselves in that position again this year, I think they do it. I think they break through.
And obviously everybody thinks about the Colts in this division, but with Peyton Manning's neck injury and some of the things he hasn't been able to do anything so far, which that doesn't help that team. And you see they struggle without him in the game. So this team has a great opportunity right now to at least get a good head start, to really build up some confidence. You're just looking at their body language today, especially when you see a guy like Gabbert go in. How does his body language after a bad throw? You see, this is a guy really concerned and really cares about playing well, and that's what you're going to need, somebody to push Garrard, and it's only going to help this team.
Yeah, Mercedes, you know, we asked everybody, tell me somebody who's jumped out at you at camp. And we asked Mercedes Lewis, and he right away went to Blaine Gabbert. And he said, the biggest thing is, he craves coaching. He's got no ego, and all he wants to do is get better every time he steps onto the field. So that's a great quality to have in your quarterback.
So the Jaguars looking to get over that hump. Good to see Matthews back up on his feet. 6.5 remaining here in Jacksonville. Falcons lead 13-9. First and 10 for Luke McCown and the Jaguars from the Atlanta 12. McCown after the fake, fires, touchdown. Armand Binns.
Well, I tell you what, they give the Atlanta defense a lot to think about on that play. That's a nice play. I bet you're going to see some other teams trying to take this concept during the year. Here's going to be the key. They push off the route here. Good sell right there on the outside.
You hit it right on the head, Moose. That was a great sell.
It actually looked like a busted play.
It did. It looked like a read keep. Now Luke McCown's going to take it around the edge. But Armand Binns kind of sells it out, and he knows he's going to take the hit, but I'm going to find a way to get it through there. That's one of the better red zone plays I've seen in the last year and a half.
You got to get creative in the red zone.
McCown faked the handoff to DeJuan Harris and then hit the wide open Armand Binns, the rookie free agent out of Cincinnati. And Maurice Jones-Drew was talking about some of those free agent receivers the Jaguars brought into camp.
And the Jaguars need somebody to stand out at the wide receiver position. This has been a team that has drafted a lot of wide receivers. None of them have quite panned out. None of them are really here anymore. So this is a chance for some of these young guys to step in, grab a job, hold a job, but you need to have somebody who stands out, somebody who's a threat down the field. Just like Atlanta has somebody for midfield, with deep threat, somebody for underneath, and a great tight end. Jacksonville had the great tight end, a great running back, but they need to find those receivers.
You saw Mike Smith there writing that note. He actually wrote down, remember to ask Mike Mularkey if he can get that play into our red zone package for this season.
I still think that was a busted play. I don't think that was how it was supposed to go.
I don't know. I love this decision right here, though. You never get a chance to practice your two-point play. Might as well.
So the Jaguars now leading by 2. Go for 2.
There you go.
The fullback, Brock Bolin, the intended receiver.
Sometimes you get too open.
I think if he would have faked the handoff and tripped over his own feet and jumped up and threw it, it would have been right.
You get that little bunch over to the other side. Everybody gets caught up. A great job by Zach Potter as he releases, doesn't do anything legal, but he makes the inside linebacker run that bubble. That allows Brock Bolin to get out in the flat wide open, but how did Luke McCown miss this one? Just sails on him a little bit.
So the Jaguars, who trailed 13-3, now lead by 2 with 6:19 remaining. Michael, I know you've been asked a lot about your former division, the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles, of course, adding a number of big names over the last couple of weeks. O.C. Umenyiora, as you and Kurt talked about on the pregame, out 3 to 4 weeks. Jason Garrett, first full season as head coach in Dallas. And who will it be at our nation's capital? Rex Grossman started last week for the Redskins. John Beck, the starter tonight against Indianapolis.
Well, you know, it's always been a very competitive division, especially when the teams play each other. Eagles have gone out and they have stacked the deck on paper. And I think whenever you do that, and if those guys, you can put a dream team together. Washington tried it some years ago, Moose. It didn't work. Nope. I think it's a matter of how these guys get along personality-wise, work ethic-wise, the way they take to the coaching, and how much they really put into it. If they really are hungry, then the Eagles, if you look at them on paper in that division, have to be the team to beat. The Giants are a team that aren't far off, but without any great action in the offseason, losing Kevin Boss, losing Steve Smith, the OC fight, basically, I call it a fight because it is what it is. Those things haven't helped the Giants really advance or look very positive in the eyes of fans or someone like myself sitting in the booth. When it comes to Washington, you don't know what you have in Washington. The quarterback situation is still a little unsettled, and to me, that needs to be the #1 position where you have some comfort. And in Dallas, if you could take a coach and say, from my personal standpoint of dealing with Jason Garrett, if you could take a guy and say this guy is going to be successful in whatever he does, that's Jason Garrett to me. So the Cowboys have been quiet. A lot of things haven't been made of them outside of them cutting guys like Marion Barber and Leonard Davis, and Roy Williams. But I think the Cowboys could be a surprise for a lot of people, but they're going to have to get off to a better start than they did last year.
Jason Garrett, a former teammate of both Dow's and Dallas, and Michael's in New York with the Giants. How surprised were you when Steve Smith signed with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I was very surprised. That really caught me off guard because I thought Steve was a guy after the microfracture surgery on his knee was going to take a little time to heal, and the Giants were going to bring him in. But I think Philadelphia just made him an offer financially that he couldn't refuse. And, 1-year offer gives him a chance to heal, gives him a chance to showcase what he can do, and then go back to the table for a new deal next year.
First and 10 for Chris Redman and the Falcons from the 31. They trail by 2. Pass is caught by the tight end Marquez Branson. out across the 35-yard line.
I think with Dallas, I think one of the things that you have to be concerned about, and Jimmy touched on this when he was with us in the first half, is they are one of those teams that's had some changeover with Rob Ryan coming in to run that defense. It will be a base 3-4, but it's going to be very different than what Wade was running in the previous season. So, how long does it take them to adjust? They've struggled a little bit defensively, but to me, the critical thing for Dallas is both their offensive and defensive lines. Their offensive line is very young. They're looking for some help inside on that defensive line. So that's the area that I think Dallas has to come out and play well in the beginning of the year to get off to a good start.
I think Romo gets a lot of flack, but I think Tony Romo is actually a pretty good quarterback from my experiences of playing with him.
Pass interference, defense number 49. Automatic, first down.
So, back to Romo, I think he's a pretty good player, and I feel like if you don't protect him, you're going to be in trouble. And so up front, obviously, offensive line, defensive line. But that's a team I think has just been in turmoil because there's so many distractions just all the way around. You're a Cowboy. Anytime there's a star on that helmet, you seem to be the utter disgust of every team that you play. And you know that, Moose, because I hated you, man. But I think that's a team you just got to keep your eye on and see what Jason can do to turn it around.
Well, I didn't feel too fondly with you, and you just had an N and a Y in your helmet.
I know.
I don't think it's just a star.
But I personally think the N and the Y is quite lovely.
So, Michael, when you were in school at Texas Southern back in the early 90s, who were you rooting for?
I was a Houston Oilers fan. I was definitely a Houston Oilers fan. I was born in Houston. I grew up in Germany, and so I could never like the Cowboys. But on draft day, Jimmy Johnson sent a Cowboy representative to my house, briefcase in hand. I went to see the Cowboys during that week before the draft. Jerry Jones sits all of us down and says, you know what? If we draft you, do a draft day deal, get you into camp. And I'm like, great, I'll do a draft day deal. Guy's in my house. Cowboys call him on the phone. They trade down. The Giants pick me. So I tell Jimmy I could have had like 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings instead of 1, but I'll give all that.
Never heard that before.
1 in New York.
So who did they take?
I don't know who they took. Jimmy told me they needed better value for that pick, so they took somebody else and left me on the board. He's always hurt my feelings.
See, that's another thing we have in common. He traded down, but I was still there. Nobody took me.
Second down and 6. Now, unlike both of you guys, Goose, we've talked about this a lot, both on and off the air. You come out of the University of Pittsburgh in 1990. There were 12 rounds in the draft, and you always like to say that you were a 13th round pick. You were not drafted. You signed with the Indianapolis Colts, so you know how important these final 4 minutes are to many of these players on the field who are fighting for jobs.
Absolutely. Not only the 4 minutes, I think that when you get a free agent now into camp, it's even tougher for him to go and show a coach who isn't expecting much from him to go and get a look because of the time restraints that the teams have now, especially this year. You come in as a free agent because they need X amount of bodies in here. And all of a sudden you're looking for your playing time, and they got to get their draft picks in. They got to get their players time. So maybe this last 3 or 4 minutes is you get 6 or 7 plays. You got to make something count. So that coach goes and says, "Hey, look, maybe we should take another look at this particular player." So it's going to make it harder for free agents to go and make it in this league.
I tell you,
I don't agree with.
332 players, Goose, selected in that draft back in '90. Only 17 of them played in more NFL games than you did.
Yeah. Good numbers. Thanks, Kenny. Made me feel. They were all wrong, including Jimmy Johnson. Where is he?
They all passed.
Yeah, they all passed. You should give most of these guys EKGs and see if they got heart. Because I think there's a lot of players out there that all they need is a little bit of an opportunity. And don't feel bad for me, going into 13th round, because I would have had it any other way. I picked Indianapolis. I looked around. I decided where I wanted to go. I remember Buddy Ryan giving me a call and saying, "Come to Philadelphia." And the defense that Philadelphia had back then, in '89 and '90, it was loaded up. Reggie White and all the big boys. So I said, "No, I'm going to pass on that." Wound up going to Indianapolis and making a name for myself. So I'm pretty happy about the opportunities I had and the accomplishments that I've made.
So Goose, you could have been an Eagle and Michael could have been a Cowboy.
That would have been a lot different.
Yeah,
life would have changed.
Philadelphia. Wow, I don't know if I would have made it in that old stadium that they had, huh? Michael.
Oh, that was
the old vet.
The old vet.
You don't have either ACL now, anyways. I mean, what difference would
I
it
have no
make?
ACLs as it is, but you know, how much skin? Remember diving on that turf? It was like playing on pavement.
You know, the thing about the old stadium, the vet, RFK, they had feeling, though. They had some kind of soul and character about them. And you're playing some of the newer stadiums now. Granted, they're beautiful and they're big and they hold a lot more people, but it just didn't have the same feel.
You know, we used to sit as players. Remember sitting on the bench as players and looking up in the stands and watching like brawls, guys going at it. I mean, it was just as much fun being. I mean, I should have paid to go and been a spectator or watching the brawls and the fans. You know, it was just you don't get that anymore. You get you know, those hard-nosed guys, you know, screaming, yelling. You know, the old, you know, the black hole and the dog pound. I mean, nowadays the ticket prices are elevated, and it's hard for the normal blue-collar guy to come to a game and come down there and to come every week. You know, maybe they can afford 1 or 2 or 3 games, but they can't afford to come every week and week in and week out.
Goose, we spoke to your mom last year. She came to one of our games in Philadelphia.
Offense, 2 men moving prior to snap, did not reset. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And Goose, she was telling us stories about sitting up in the 7th deck of the vet in Philadelphia watching you play.
Yeah, well, my mom raised 3 boys, and she didn't take much junk. You know, if I said no, there was an iron coming out my head or a stick or something. So well, one of the Eagles fans, I think, they went a little bit, too far, and my mom came with a left hook and then a right hook, and then my brothers came down out of the stands, and my family started one of these brawls, which is really nice. But,
Tony, mom sounds so sweet.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, you can make some raviolis, but don't get her mad now, Mike. Whew.
Well, my brother got in a fight in Washington. I turned around to look in the stands to see where he's sitting, and all of a sudden I see fists flying, and I'm just glad he represented the family well.
Yeah, you got to stick up. You got to represent.
RFK?
RFK, but I used to tell my family, when you go to Philadelphia, do not wear anything Giants. Don't cheer if we do anything well. Just sit there like a mouse, because you never know what was going to happen in that place.
Well, they gave the visiting team 300 level tickets.
Yeah.
So.
But I would tell you, but I appreciated it, though. I appreciated the hate. It motivated me to play well. I really did.
They announced where the visiting teams were sitting. That was the problem.
Well, all eyes, Michael, will be on you guys in the studio, and then 7 games, a doubleheader, week 1, Sunday, September 11th. These Falcons will be in Chicago to take on the Bears. Giants and Redskins late. Coverage begins with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the games in your area. Goose, Moose, and I will be in Chicago. You'll be in that air-conditioned studio out on the West Coast.
Yeah, it gets a little chilly. No, it's not actually too cold. Howie, we freeze half the time because Howie has menopause. He's always.
What is that?
He's always sweating. Howie, I know you're watching, and I love you, buddy. You did a great job last week on the game.
You got to patent that word, man. That's a great word.
You know this is network television, Michael, right?
Nothing wrong with that word.
At least it came from your mouth, but not Goose.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, that's tremendous.
Nice throwing kick.
Nice
it's nice. We talked earlier about the fans, but now that you're out, Michael, you appreciate the fans that have all the passion, don't you?
You do.
The Eagles fans, the Raider fans. I mean, you got to love them. They go and they'll scream and yell at you when you're a player, and you go up and you talk to them like, "Hey, how you doing, Goose? Nice to meet you."
I get so many who say, I hated you when you were at the Giants, but I always respected you. Yeah. And I think that's all you wanted the players, from other players and also from the fans. And you don't want them. They shouldn't be cheering for me if you're not a Giants fan when I'm playing your team. So I don't think any of us ever expect that.
And speaking of connecting with fans, guys, Michael, you have developed an unbelievable following on Twitter. 500,000 followers?
Yeah, but we're going to do better than that. This year, I think what I want to do is I want to figure out, what the fans want to hear on the pregame show. I want to figure out what should I wear on the pregame show. I mean, so many different ways to let the fans be more interactive in what we do on TV, and I think that they would really appreciate it.
That's exactly what I did before this game, Mike.
You asked them what to wear, and that's what they picked?
No, I said, listen, if there's anything that, you want to have a question about on this game, tweet me during the game. Go to foxsports.com or go right to Twitter. and come and see me and ask me, and I'll try to get it in the telecast, because, you know, you cover so many things and you pass things, and all of a sudden somebody's like, well, I wonder, you know, why did they do this? And if we can go and get the information out right now, I think it'd help everybody.
And you can get more information on the Fox Sports app, featuring local and national sports coverage, Fox Sports Radio, live scores, video, and more. Get the #1 app in America for free on iTunes today. DeJuan Harris gained 15 as we approach the 2-minute warning here in Jacksonville, with the Jaguars, who trail by 10, now leading by 2. Two minutes remaining here in Jacksonville, with the Jaguars leading the Falcons 15-13 as these teams finish up week 2 of the preseason. Falcons had a 10-point lead. Jaguars have come back. And now Luke McCown will take a knee. Falcons with no timeouts remaining. As we take a look at the 4 teams in the NFC South. These Falcons, who will begin the regular season in Chicago. Mark Ingram, the rookie running back, replacing Reggie Bush in New Orleans. How about the season the Bucs had last year with young quarterback Josh Freeman? And the first overall pick, Cam Newton, now in Carolina.
Now, I think that this is going to be a fun division to watch this year. #1, Atlanta, you look at their record, 13-3, the top team in the NFC. New Orleans, 11-5. Tampa Bay at 10-6 doesn't get into the playoffs. I think they're the wild card in this division. Can they replicate that 10-6 mark? Can they improve on that 10-6 mark and keep pace with New Orleans and Atlanta? But I think the additions that Atlanta added make them the team to beat. But New Orleans, very quietly, nobody's really talked about them. Maybe one of the sneakier moves that nobody's really paid a lot of attention to. Abreu Franklin from San Francisco in to kind of shore up that interior defensive line, which has always been an issue for the New Orleans Saints. I think with Ingram there at the running back, kind of creating some regularity with the carries and everything, I think that is going to be one of the funner divisions to watch.
Well, I definitely feel like New Orleans did with Abreu Franklin just for the team we're watching today, the Falcons, with a running game like Michael Turner. And, it definitely the Atlanta Falcons are leading this division. And in Tampa, they're going to have to guard against that whole feeling of, well, we did it last year, we can just happen again, because they're a young team. This is when you're going to need Rondé Barber to step up and make sure those guys stay focused.
You have a surprise team in the NFC, Mike?
Surprise team? Nah, you know what? I'm not really any surprise in the NFC. I love the Green Bay Packers. I think that winning last year with a lot of guys on IR makes them the team to beat.
Without Jermichael Finley.
Without Jermichael Finley, without Ryan Grant.
Smiles on the Jaguars side as they come back from 10 down. Defeat the Falcons by the score of 15-13. We'll return to Jacksonville in a moment.